All right, so welcome to our webinar on warehousing and fulfillment centers and how to avoid getting screwed. This is a subject that seems to be a very hot button subject. I know we're going to have some more people coming on, and then some people will be catching this on the replay. But this is a very, I guess, very hot button subject right now, especially with the IPI changes and everyone kind of scrambling. And there's a lot of chaos and uncertainty in this whole space with warehousing and fulfillment. So I wanted to introduce our guest speaker today. We're going to basically be doing a little bit of a Q&A, a little bit of a discussion on things to look out for in terms of warehousing. We're also going to, if you stick around for the majority of the webinar, I'm going to be sending out a list of some warehouses that may be able to service you. There is, we'll bring this up in a little bit, but there are a lot of warehouses that are at capacity. So we're, working to get an idea of which warehouses out there are going to be worth your while, and then you'll be also equipped with the questions to answer them to make sure to vet them and ensure that they are actually going to be a good choice for you, because once your inventory is there, you don't want to have to move it. So a little bit about Randy, our guest here. Randy and I met several years ago. We are in a mastermind together. Randy is an Amazon seller, and he essentially was in a mastermind with us. So I think that the first time we met was in Alabama, of all random places, if I am correct on that.
I think it's Arkansas. Is it Arkansas?
Arkansas or I don't know. Maybe, is it? Yeah, I think you're right, Arkansas. Well, see, that shows me I'm in the middle of nowhere, so I had no idea where we were. Yes, yeah. That's right. Okay, cool. So yes, we met out there, and we're both Amazon sellers. And then Randy, at a certain point, because of his businesses, he had so much in terms of packaging, boxes kind of coming out his ears. It's my understanding that you had to then open up your own warehouse for your own business, and that kind of expanded into being able to provide services for other sellers. Is that right?
Yeah, you're welcome to turn my video on if you want.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I was like, I wonder why he's not turning his video on. Really frustrating.
I try.
Yeah.
But that is what happened. So we actually had 4 Amazon brands, and
I think you should be able to turn your video on now.
Yeah, there I am. Look at me.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, so we actually had 4 Amazon brands, and then one of our brands turned out to be pretty successful in
mm-hmm.
the 7 figures. And with all of that, the logistics from what it was, we had to start doing quality control on our own product. Customs started stealing our stuff at the border.
Oh, wow.
And as you know, going into Amazon, customers getting an empty box, it creates those negative reviews.
Oh, my goodness. So, wow. So when you mean they started stealing your stuff, that you literally mean, wow, that's crazy.
So they would open it up and just leave empty boxes. And it got to where like 100 units would fit in a case, and maybe 5 of them were gone. Mm-hmm. And it just became frustration. So
that's really crazy. Wow.
Yeah, that birthed our warehouse really initially.
So, yeah. Wow. Interesting. Okay, cool. Yeah. So you have your warehouse that's out in Missouri.
Yes.
And and so essentially I called you because I basically have a ton of people who are interested in finding out about warehousing. They're being kind of forced by Amazon and this new API update to either warehouse and send in piecemeal, or, as I recommend, having a backup distribution channel, meaning a fulfillment center. So even if you don't have your stuff at a fulfillment center right now, it's a good idea to know someone who has a fulfillment center and know what their rates are and be ready to send stuff. But I would say that you probably need to get your ducks in a row on that, because even if they have availability right now, come October, November, they're probably going to be filled. That's a real big issue that we're having, that the industry is seeing right now. So you might have to consider, if you want to have that FBM backup, you might need to consider setting those relationships up right now with your fulfillment centers as opposed to waiting till the last minute. Would you agree?
The clock's ticking. So, I mean, you're approaching fourth quarter very fast, and it takes time to ship. It takes time to get your stuff, and it takes time for whoever is going to be your fulfillment to set that up and get you ready, the billing set up. A lot of this stuff can happen. It's just pretty fast. It's just everything has to fall in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have your fulfillment set up, and if you're new to Amazon or new to just e-commerce, maybe it's not that big of a deal. But if you are planning on selling some volume, if you were selling right when COVID hit, and when Amazon's shipping times went from 2 days to 2 weeks or 4 weeks, it would just basically killed your revenue if you didn't have a 3PL or a fulfillment center. So that's definitely an important thing to do. You're right to tell everybody to do that, because if you don't, you almost might kill your brand in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
You may not sell what you want to sell.
Yeah, it's very true, and it's, I tend to word it as, even if Amazon is your only sales channel, it should not be your only distribution channel.
Yeah.
And we have to make the same mistakes, over and over again sometimes. But it's something that I'm, kind of looking to pivot towards securing that, because, imagine even like having all your eggs in one basket. Like we already know we have, a lot of our businesses are all in the Amazon basket, but then you're having to deal with the Amazon, the Amazon's trying to cope with the amount of inventory that is being received. And if they don't cope properly, you basically, I had second year in business, my inventory got sent in late. It was a couple of days past the date, and it got lost for the entire Christmas season. And that was all of my inventory. So this idea of sending all of your inventory to Amazon to lose it, if I had sent half of it to Amazon and I had kept half of it, or at least a portion of it, in a third-party fulfillment center, then I would have been able to make sales during that period. So if you're, sending everything to Amazon, even if you don't have IPI restrictions, sending everything into Amazon is pretty risky, because if you miss check-in, or your inventory gets lost, they'll always find it after Christmas. They will, I promise.
I completely understand where Amazon's at, because I mean, as a warehouse, stuff's coming in faster than it's going out.
Yeah.
And there's times where what's going out is important, and we need that stuff that's coming in and going out fast to keep cycling. Just one, to keep our customers happy and keep the process moving. And it's so easy for something to get misplaced, especially if you didn't label it right, or whoever, UPS or whoever shipped it there, didn't put the label on tight enough, or it fell off, or it got smudged. It's going to sit somewhere else until they can have time to figure it out. It's super smart to not send all your stuff in one spot, because almost like not having all your eggs in one basket is a great analogy, right? So it's your business. You want to make money from it. You want to make a livelihood from it. So you don't want to stick all your potential in the hands of Amazon, who has so many things moving. And then at the drop of, they may, like I said, lose it. They may suspend it. They may flag it. The shipper may lose it. We've had clients just recently in the last month or so that did this exactly. They sent all their stock from China to us, and we shipped it all to Amazon, entire container load.
Yeah. And
Amazon gets it, even though they accepted it, they checked it in, just to turn around 1 week later and send 95% of that back.
Yeah.
Say, I don't want it.
Yeah. We've heard that too. They'll send it back. Okay. So, and that's a lot of wasted money. And so everyone's preparing. You don't want to, the mistake that I will say that I made when I got all of my inventory went missing is I changed my normal shipping strategy at the end of the year. So a lot of people are actually being forced to change their normal shipping patterns at the end of the year. It would probably make sense for them to start now. Like if they know that fourth quarter they need to do that, start doing some practice, shipments. But what would you say would be the right way to kind of start setting yourself up so that by fourth quarter you've gotten all the kinks worked out of your shipping.
Yeah, so I guess there's a couple things to think about. If you're new and never shipped anything in, don't send everything.
Yeah.
Unless it's like 50 units, and send it in, it's fine. But if you ordered 1,000 units of something and you ship that in, and never sold anything, then they potentially may just send that back. You may start getting long-term storage. They may suppress any other stock that you want to send in later. I'm getting some feedback. Is that me?
Oh, maybe. Oh, do you have headphones? I'll put some headphones on.
But if you're an experienced seller and you're selling, and then all of a sudden you get these limitations, and the limitations don't make sense, you are going to have that warehouse or do it out of your garage or something that manages that flow. And I like to use the Amazon recommended number. So if you go into your inventory and hit inventory planning, they've got a recommended number to send in. That's what I like using for like us, our clients, because we manage we manage the Amazon stock for a lot of our clients too. I think I made it worse.
Oh, that made it worse. Okay.
Yeah.
Better?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
But yeah, we manage the stock for a lot of our clients, and I use that Amazon recommended because Amazon's got so many warehouses. Their recommended number is for optimal distribution for them. And it's not overstating. Yeah, they may allow you to send 2,000 units in, but they may only recommend send 100 units in. That's what I go by. Now, come fourth quarter, it's going to be based on your sales. It's going to be based on what you think your high volume is going to be that you got to look at. So, I mean, depends who you are. Depends who you are, how new you are. Yeah, there's a lot of variables to it.
Yeah. And if you're sending things in, if you're getting ready to send, new inventory in, most of the new inventory is restricted to 200 units anyway. Yeah. So if you don't really realize that and you send in inventory, they first of all probably won't let you create labels to even do that. So hopefully you won't be sending in inventory that's going to be turned around. But if you aren't making your labels, your shipping labels via Amazon, you may have stuff that just gets turned around and sent back to wherever it came from, and if it came from China, oh boy,
Yeah, and actually we've got a client that's overseas. Their freight forwarder, they had the labels for Amazon, and they had their freight forwarder ship it from China to Amazon, and Amazon refused it because they didn't want anymore. They changed their minimums like while they shipped it. And their problem is they used a freight forwarder and they didn't do it themselves, and now their product is stuck in limbo. Like, we can't get it to us because we weren't the shipper. They can't get it because it was their manufacturer that shipped it. And their manufacturer used a third party, so their stock's in limbo. So you got to be really selective with your freight forwarders. You got to be really knowing what you're doing shipping into Amazon, not ship too much.
Yeah. So then would the best kind of the best plan right now be to send everything from your manufacturer to a third party warehouse and then into Amazon?
I would do both. I would split it. You can send it. You can check the cost, but usually for our clients, we split it.
Yeah.
If it needs to go to Amazon and it's in China, I'm going to send what Amazon recommends. And if they recommend 300 units and you're selling 100 units a day, and it's going to be 3,000 by the end of the month, I'm going to send around that amount. Not just what they recommend. It's going to take me 30 days to get it there. I'm going to send what it's going to take and they need by the time that time frame comes. But and you can also, if you got enough stock at Amazon, send it to a warehouse or a logistics company that you trust.
Yeah, and because that's a frustrating thing, is that Amazon is looking at past sales when they're making these predictions. They're not looking at future sales or historical sales, based on last year. So a lot of what Amazon's recommendations are, frustratingly enough, are not sophisticated enough to actually give correct prediction, but which wasn't really a problem before when they didn't have those restrictions. But now that they have those restrictions, it's actually definitely impeding sellers. So it gets into some frustrating issues.
It's a never-ending struggle because, like I said, I have a client that they literally sell 100 units a day, and they ran out of stock just because the manufacturer can't keep up.
Yep.
And Amazon's recommending to send 300 units in. Well, that doesn't make
Yep.
sense. Don't
Yeah,
follow that.
Yeah, that's the funny thing, because I did a whole webinar about the IPI and how the IPI is calculated, how sell-through is calculated, how restocking is calculated, and what Amazon says restocking is calculated based on and what it's actually calculated based on are completely different things. It says it looks at how many days you were in stock and how many of those days, how much was sold during those days, so they can figure out a true, per day sales. But then when you stock out, that's all out the window, and you're told to, I had the same thing happen where we were only allowed to send 700 units of a product in when we needed to send like 3,000, so, but that was COVID restrictions, and now it's not so bad anymore, except for the people who had the IPI issues. Okay.
I'm to the point now where we have to check it weekly. Like it's such a problem that we have to check our clients and our stuff weekly on just what are you going to allow this week, what makes sense.
Yeah.
And it used to be not worry about it for a month. It's fine. Send it all to Amazon.
Right. Yeah. And so that'll kind of bring us into some of the things that we discussed. We were going to kind of talk about in terms of fees, because that potentially, depending on the fee structure of your warehouse, is going to significantly affect the cost. Because if you're, for example, and I'm going to kind of give a little example of I'm leaving my current warehousing, doing because I just pay, and when I started really digging into it, the amount of money that I have spent, like if I'm sending in larger orders, the cost can be, depending on how the fees are done, a lot higher or lower based on the frequency of sending in. I'm gonna real quick post up an example of the fees that I'm talking about. For example, like you've got labeling fees. I personally, you can comment on these. These are very high. I just got another quote where the labeling fees were 25 cents. So this is $1.75 per carton. To pull the carton, it's $1.85. Then additionally, 40 hours of labor. Does not matter if they used that 40 hours. It could have been 5 minutes, but they're going to charge you for 40 hours. Yep. So the total for a carton that holds 50 units is, almost 9 cents. But if a carton that has 6 units in it is 73 cents. These are real examples that I had to deal with. However, I had an invoice, 5 cartons. We had to ship in 5 cartons. If you had 5 cartons at that same scenario, you're paying 16 cents per unit for 50 units and $1.33 for 6 units just for the labor, for a total of 25 cents for that 50 unit scenario, and $2.06 per unit for a carton with 6 units in it. And I was just like, yep, we're done. Yeah. So is this a common thing like this? Is this a common way that the fee structure is done, or is there a better way? Like, what are some of the things that people should look out for that are like red flags in terms of fees?
Well, so there's several things that are happening. So we are primarily a fulfillment company. We have a warehouse. We do warehousing for clients, but we primarily do it for our fulfillment clients.
Right.
And when we do it for our fulfillment clients, we say we can send into Amazon for you. And there are fees. And what happens is a carton is kind of large. Sometimes they're small, sometimes they're large.
Yeah.
And right now we charge $1, but that's getting ready to raise to $2 for our warehouse and fulfillment on just getting a carton out the door, just because there's going to find it, getting it out, there's printing the labels on, making sure it's on the right carton, and getting it to the truck where it's going. So there is some work involved.
Yeah.
And like our rate of per hour is $30. So
Mhm.
it kind of depends where you're at. If you're getting a West Coast or East
Yeah.
Coast warehouse, you're going to probably pay that or more.
Mhm.
But you
Yeah.
also got to look at, like, we're in Missouri, so employment is a little cheaper,
Mhm. And so
sort
is
of.
rent. Yeah.
Yeah, everything's cheaper,
Right.
but it like next year, minimum wage goes up $1. That means everybody in our building has to get paid more.
Right.
So cost raise. So don't expect like you're going to come in at this rate. It's probably going to raise every year, because if states are raising minimum wage or utilities are going up, packaging is going up, the cost of even getting a label is going up. Like, so it's fees have to raise just
Mhm.
to maintain continuity of business.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there are things you got to look for, right? So if you're shipping something to a company like us
Yeah.
or someone else, you might have receiving cost.
Mhm.
It might be per case, or it might be per pallet. Then if they've got to break that open and ship a specific number of units back to Amazon, you're probably going to pay a case breaking fee, or more likely the labor fee.
Mhm.
So what you had is a great example, because does your warehouse that you're looking at, is it $40 even if they spend 15 minutes, or is it $40 per half hour? Like, we bill every half hour,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So we don't bill full hour for 5 minutes of work. We'll bill half hour, but
Mhm.
some people might bill actual. So you really got
Mhm.
to check all those fees out.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so it brings up a point of, you always ask for, a rate sheet, and you should be given an, detailed report of exactly what the fees are, that are involved in, and then how are these fees treated? Because you can see $40 an hour and you go, oh yeah, and you would just assume that they're just gonna, incrementally charge you, 15 minutes, or, if you did 10 minutes, and I'll do, a percentage of that. But that may not be the case. So there are all of these little things where, you have to start thinking with, okay, how frequently am I going to send? Am I going to ask them to send 5, or am I going to tell them, I'm going to pay less per unit if I have them send 50? If you can. If you can't, that's an issue too. But it makes it all the more important to really dig into those fees before you commit to someone, because once your inventory is there, you really don't want to move it to another warehouse, because you're
No.
going to pay all those fees again. And yeah, so to assess the fees, that, to actually break it down, but then also on, when you start looking at it, that 50 unit carton versus 6 unit carton, that's at that point you can start looking at working with your supplier. Can we get more units? Can we get bigger cartons with more units, so that the actual, handling costs become dispersed over a larger quantity of units for that particular SKU? So it kind of gets into, really rethinking how you're packaging things. And is that something that you have found, that you've noticed, where just inefficiency of packing
Yeah,
comes?
so that's another great point, right? So working with your manufacturer, or knowing, not just taking what your manufacturer recommends. Talk
Mm-hmm.
to somebody else that's doing this, that ships stuff or has been doing it, because, like you said, if you've got a package that's a foot by foot, I mean, you're not going to get very many units in that, and you can spread your cost out just by having a larger package. There's packages that come to us that are quite large, but you don't want them to be too heavy where the warehouse or Amazon won't take it. So if it becomes heavy, then it becomes Amazon might ship it back on a pallet if it's too heavy.
So you said, like, who would be the best person to give you an idea of how would it be best to do that?
Probably somebody that's already in the business, that's already shipping something, or already uh, that got you into the space, that knows what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You talk to any veteran like seller, that they know they want to reduce their cost. That's the game, reducing your cost. At first, it's not easy to do that, because you don't have all the information. You don't know if this product's going to work. So talking to somebody that knows what they're doing, or even hiring somebody that can advise you when you're creating your product, it's a great place to start.
Yeah. Are there companies that do consulting like that?
I imagine there's companies that, hey, you want to get off the ground. I think you guys did that for a while, right? To get
Yeah.
people onto Amazon. I
Yeah.
don't do it, but I know
We
you.
never, I mean, I'm just thinking if there was companies that consulted on packaging that you've ever heard of.
There are some good ones. Like there's some good manufacturers that know. Like our clients, if you work with us, we recommend for our clients, hey, shrink this down by a half an inch, because if you go into your own e-commerce store, you're going to wind up saving about $1 or $2 by being able to get it into one of these priority packages. And it being too tall by a half an inch or a quarter inch, it's not going to fit, and you're going to wind up paying $2 more a unit just to ship it. So
That's interesting. The same thing with Amazon, you know, oversized. Some people just shipping their stuff in. I was talking to someone else, and it was literally like fold it in half when you package it and then send it out, and you're good. And it, you know, takes you out of the overstock or oversize, which is what, like $1 extra or something?
It's more, I don't even know what it is anymore. We used to have some oversized products, and I just know it got ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So what are some other charges that you should be asking for or you should find out about? I mean, like pallet charges. Are there any other charges that are kind of like sneaky?
Yeah, so long-term storage, just like Amazon, some companies will have long-term storage. And like we do, we charge long-term storage because we are more of a fulfillment company than a warehouse. Yeah, we have a warehouse, but we want to do fulfillment, and we want product rotating because product sitting just takes up space. It reduces the space for our clients that need it. So we like our stuff rotating. Long-term storage. Another thing is if your warehouse is going to ship out a pallet for you to Amazon, what are the fees associated with that? Because you could have a box labeling fee, wrapping fee, pallet fee, loading fee, and then what are you paying for? Right?
Yeah. I know. I saw that. I'm looking at, you know, going through the rate sheets, and I'm like, oh wow, there's, you know, a lot of, and then handling, and you're like, well, what is considered handling? You know, if you don't have a carton pull fee per carton, but you have a handling fee per carton. So, you know, taking the rate sheets and taking your products that are, you know, the top number of units per carton, say 50, and then taking your 6 units per carton and breaking down what's the cost for, you know, what would the cost be if it were to run through an entire cycle, and see, you know, this is without shipping from China, this is without the shipping fees to Amazon. What are your actual warehousing fees, and where, you know, all of a sudden you go, oh wow, that's where my money's going, you know?
Yeah, actually doing that and saying, oh, if you're going to talk to a warehouse or fulfillment company, give them specifics. I know you may not have the specifics yet, but give them specifics, because they're not going to tell you what it's going to cost, because it might be over or under, because they don't know. If you don't know, we don't know. So if you can make up something, hey, my box is 12 by 12, weighs 25 pounds. I got 1,000 units coming and 250 fit in each box. Hey, that's something you can work with.
Yeah.
And then you can say, hey, if I were to ship a pallet of this or 12 cartons to Amazon from you, what is it? What are my fees? They're not going to know shipping, because you usually get your shipping rates from Amazon, but you can at least get your fees.
Yeah, definitely like playing out the scenarios. And now, okay, what about pallet storage charges? Because one of the things that I found was the pallet storage assessment was done for our products on the 5th for the following month. So they're saying, okay, on the 5th, we are assuming that you're going to have this inventory for the entire month. So if I have pallets that arrive on the 4th, are there on the 5th, and then ship out on the 6th, well, I'm being charged for the storage of those units as if they were in that warehouse the whole time. Is that something that should be asked about? And it would seem to me like that's something that you would want to know, so that you can know on what schedule to ship your stuff, so that it doesn't get charged for a month that it wasn't there.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they have a software system that can prorate. So is prorating a thing? That'd be a great question.
Yeah, is prorate, yeah.
So we're still in the middle of developing our software. So our software, I've told you about it, and
Yeah.
it's in-house, homegrown, right? So there's a lot of calculations and things that happen with software outside of just doing a spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm.
But like we have work orders, intake sheets, things like that. That's what we use. So we prorate the pallets coming in. But does everybody? Don't know. I doubt
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah, this company did it, and I was like, so you're telling me that? And they were like, yup. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
It seems like a bad idea, but you know, hey, they'll take the money. So these are all like little questions that we don't think to ask when we send all of our inventory to a place, and they only come out, you know, when we are tired of paying the invoices.
Yeah. Well, here's the problem. The warehouse is holding your stuff. Just like Amazon. You don't pay Amazon, the warehouse is going to hold your items because there are expenses they have to pay, and they won't ship it if you're behind on your bill or you're closing out your account. You're probably going to have to prepay your items if you're closing out your account just to get it out of the warehouse. So those
Yeah.
are upfront expenses you're going to need.
Right. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So now what about fulfillment centers? You're a fulfillment center, and you do a little bit of just shipping into Amazon. But one of the things that came up when I'm working with people on inventory, getting them into their so stocked account, is someone who he requested send my cartons to Amazon, and they sat there for a week and a half, 2 weeks, not moving because they were too busy with the fulfillment side of things. So what is a question like? How do you address that? And that's definitely, I feel, something that's very valid concern that should be addressed.
Yeah, so you can ask what the lead time is from request to completion of a work order, or whatever you want to call it. We call them work orders, right?
Yeah.
So what is that lead time? For us, we try for 3 days, but 3 business days. But it doesn't always happen because you have other people doing work orders too.
Yeah.
And there's only so much labor of people that's on staff. And so if they all hit at the same time, that's when the issue starts happening.
Right.
Now, if they're focusing on fulfillment and everything gets done on fulfillment first, you know, that you need to know. Like we tell our clients, fulfillment is our most important thing.
Yeah.
And work orders come after. But we also try to hit that 3 days lead time because we understand that's important. We also tell our clients that don't wait till the last day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know you're busy, we're busy, but you want to keep selling stuff, and don't leave it in the hands of your warehouse to do something you should have done earlier too.
Yeah, we always say in inventory management, the best case scenario is the worst case scenario.
Yeah, get it out of there.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, if it's 3 or 6 days, always estimate 6 days and send it early, and it's better early than late.
Yeah.
In all occasions for inventory, it's better to be early than late. I mean, when you're talking about 6 months early, then that's not good, but
There's so many variables. I mean, because I can't send too much in, and then I got to request it in early.
yeah.
If I request it early, then I need more, but they can't send more. So I don't know. There's a lot of variables, and you just got to work through them, especially fourth quarter, because you got to anticipate Amazon's lead time of checking it in.
Yeah.
Right now, it's around 2 weeks for some places, and 2 weeks is the normal lead time in fourth quarter, not in September.
Yeah.
Normally in September, you're talking 2 or 3 days, and all of a sudden, it's 2 weeks. So my anticipation, it's going to be 4 weeks in holidays.
Now, is that lead times for everything, or just for LTL cartons? Is it also for containers, loose containers?
I don't know about containers, but carton for sure. LTL is this weird game that you can play, and there's actually some tricks with LTL that you can do, because if you're sending a lot of stock, using LTL can save you money. But if you use Amazon's preferred carrier, they bundle those shipments. So what happens is, if you send a pallet, you want to send a pallet into Amazon, that gets picked up by one of their preferred carriers, goes to a transfer center, waits till they have a full load, then they get a receiving time in Amazon. Sometimes that could be up to a week to 2 weeks. in transit and not even at Amazon for the check-in.
Okay.
So what we do with our clients that we manage, our fulfillment clients and our warehouse clients, hey, if you want to send a pallet, we have our own UPS rates. And 90% of the time, they're actually cheaper than Amazon's preferred carrier rates. And they're 1-day shipping. Like it'll leave here and check in at Amazon the next day, not checked into your inventory, but at Amazon. So if your fulfillment company or your warehouse can use UPS, because UPS does not have a time frame that they have to deliver in this window. All other carriers do, but UPS just can show up and they'll take whatever they got. So that's my trick for today. You can ship pallets with UPS.
So okay, so what do you mean about show up, and meaning that they don't have like a receiving window where they're like, we'll show up between this time and this time. They're just like, you call us, we'll show up when we show up, and we'll take whatever you have ready.
And if there's an open receiving time, Amazon calls UPS and says, send me anything you got. If there's any open available slots. They will fill it with Amazon first. Because now if you use any other trucking company and they miss their window, they have to reschedule. It's not the case with Amazon. UPS.
UPS. Okay. Yeah. Wow. That's big. Yeah.
It's huge. Because
so
you can
Amazon,
get it.
Yeah. So if your stuff gets bumped, they might come in and fit in that slot.
There's times we've shipped it like 10 a.m. from our warehouse, and it's at Amazon that evening.
Wow.
And that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen with ground. It doesn't happen with any trucking company. But
So because Amazon wants turn as well. It doesn't want an empty dock doing nothing. Because you want your inventory and your capital to turn. They want their docks always busy.
Yeah. So I mean I'm referring to UPS freight, and it sort of goes with UPS ground too, right? Loose packages. They have open windows too, but UPS freight is a way to kind of sneak in there during the first quarter.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's awesome. Okay, let me see what else we have. What is their shipping turnaround? We talked about that. How does it change when the holiday peak season hits? Is that something that is validly a concern in terms of asking a warehouse about their delivery?
Yeah, totally. Because just for us, historically, our volume goes 4x in the fourth quarter. Starting right in the middle of November, it hits 4x and it goes all the way up to 2 days before Christmas.
Yeah.
It kind of just shuts off. But at 4x volume, you have to be training staff up now for that.
Yeah.
And that's the question, right? Are you at max capacity with staff? Can you handle my stuff? Like we as a company aren't taking any more warehouse clients on, right? So fulfillment clients, those are ones we'll talk to and see how large they are and if it makes sense. But warehousing clients, we can't. Because everything we're going to get that's in our warehouse right now, we're going to have 4 times as much. So just to service our current clients, which makes sense, right? Because if you're a client of ours, you want your stuff in, and you don't want the new person that we're bringing on to get that little time window of ours. We want to focus on our current clients. So that's a question to ask. Like, do you have room for us? You kind of feel them out, with the questions. I don't know what the questions would be, but tell them your volume, tell them what you got. If it's a lot of stuff, they might be concerned or they may not be. So just got to fill them out.
Yeah. And maybe, would be asking, what is your staffing plan in fourth quarter, and how are you working toward that now?
Right.
Because if they can't answer those questions, or can't get you a quick answer, that might be someone who's just trying to get you in the door,
Yeah. Like we had 2 high school girls at homeschool come today as for training to see if they, we're stocking up on our FTE and not necessarily more product, but because we know it's going to be insane come Christmas time, and our clients, their customers want their stuff out fast.
Yeah. So you said FTE. What's FTE?
Full-time employees, just
total
hours. So we're stocking up on our number of hours we have here just so we can get things caught up,
Right.
make sure it's organized and it's ready to go.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, cool. Now, one of the interesting things that I found out is because this seems to be the busiest, craziest time for fulfillment centers, for third-party warehouses. I was very interested to find out that there are businesses, warehousing businesses that are actually closing their doors. And so it's actually putting a lot more strain on other warehouses because they're then being contacted about, hey, my warehouse is closing. Can you take my stuff? So is that a valid concern? And is that something that should be considered before getting into a warehouse and having to just turn tail and send to someone else?
Yeah, it kind of depends how long your relationship's going to be with the warehouse. If you're newer and you only have a few products and it's not a lot, the odds that they're going to fold up in 3 months, probably not the case. It could happen. But one of the major questions to ask, hey, do you own your building? Because some of our clients have come from warehouses that they didn't own their building. Their building was leased and their lease got pulled from them at renewal. And all of a sudden you have hundreds of clients that are scrambling all to find other warehouses. Well, that pushes it to, that all of a sudden increases everybody's volume and chances of getting in is going to be harder.
Yeah.
So that's an important question I tell everybody to ask. Do you own your building? Like, we own our building. Nobody's going to pull this lease from me, right?
Right. And if they don't, is that like an automatic no, or would it be, when does your lease up?
Yeah. Like, how long is your lease contract? When's it renew? These are deep questions that they may not feel comfortable telling you.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know if they would or not. If you're a potential client and they want you, yeah, they'll tell you.
Yeah.
If they won't tell you, then, you have other things to worry about, because potentially that lease could always get pulled, or they just don't renew it, or the building gets sold, or the rent increases to a point that they can't sustain it.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting. There's like a lot going on, to dig into.
I feel bad. Like, there's so many little pieces that it's kind of hard to ask all these questions, but you should. It's your company. It's the thing you're wanting to grow. It's what your family's going to rely on, and you want it to be sustainable. You want it to stay there.
Yep, that's true. All right, we have a couple of questions and we have a hand raised. Okay, so we got a recommendation. Shipsimply.co does consulting on this. Good, that's awesome.
Good.
How does Amazon take lead time into consideration with the quantity I can restock?
I don't know if they take any consideration. They do sort of kind of first come, first serve it, from what I can tell. So if you can send it in as soon as you can.
Right.
The warehouse that we send to it's more of a distribution center. So they process very fast, but it's still not always the case. And it's not about, I'm sending 10 units in, it's when they get to it. I don't think, you can maybe correct me, but I don't think they're saying, I'm going to get to this client first or this customer first. I think it's pretty much first come, first serve.
Yeah. And the other aspect is, if they're telling you you can restock 200 units, they're telling you based on the last 30 days of sales, and they don't care that it's going to take 30 days for you to get your inventory in, and by then you're into a high sales period. They're looking at the past, and that's the frustrating part about it. So in terms of lead time, it's not sophisticated enough to look at, if it takes 30 days, let's look at what your sales are going to be in 30 days, and we'll tell you what you can send to meet that 30 days. That's the difficulty, is that they're not looking at historical data going back to last year and what you were selling last year, or estimating. They're not using that data. They could use it. They could say, oh, well, this is a child's toy, and these child's toys last year quadrupled in sales during that period. So I wonder if they're going to have an issue with being stocked out of products during Christmas that people want to buy.
Yeah. I would say, maybe I just misread the question, but yeah, I think you're right. So way you answered it is correct. I don't think they take it into consideration, but you can kind of take that into your own hands, right? If you just send 300, it's whether you send 325 as the let you or 350, it's not a big deal. Keep tabs on your own check-in times, or talk to other people that are know what's going on, shipping the same one, because if it is getting long, send more, especially come fourth quarter. It's a big deal. And I actually think they're starting to do this anticipated volume with seasonal items.
That'll be good because it's necessary.
Yeah, because I saw that with one of our clients this summer, and it's a summer item, and they were telling me I needed stuff before we actually ordered it. And it knew the sales throughout the year weren't good, but it knew they were good in summer. So I'm hoping that's a thing they can roll out everywhere. It's not already.
Yeah. Okay. That would be good to see, because yeah, that's definitely necessary. Okay. And so this is Heinrich, and he did, he was the one who asked this question, but he also has his hand raised. So I'm going to allow him to talk to see if maybe he wants to ask the question, a different question. Or the same question?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, sorry. I think I actually by accident pressed the hand.
Oh, okay. Does
Yeah,
that
no, it basically comes to the question is like, I mean, I've got quite large items and I would love to ship it in a container format, but Amazon doesn't allow me to obviously create a shipment for that quantity. So it's quite annoying now to split up a container.
Yeah.
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 It's a real problem.
Yeah, it is frustrating. And one of the things I will say, I'm part of another mastermind, the Titan Network, and they did, after the IPI changes, or right before it officially changed, they did an analysis on people's scores, 82 sellers, their scores, and the most common denominator in terms of having low IPI score was actually surprisingly overstock. You're oversized. Your items were oversized. So, of all the different variables, and then they say to you, it's these 4 points. They don't tell you that it's, if you're if you're oversized items, you actually have, it's this hidden little, factor. And they also, the other thing that they do is they'll look at your sales history, but they also have space restrictions. So I have a user I was talking to onboarding onto SoStocked, and he was telling me that, he should be able to send, 90 days worth of inventory, but he's also got space restrictions. So he can't even send 90 days worth of inventory.
Yeah. So oversized is funny. They used to show you that metric, the oversized metric, and they don't show it anymore. But keeping your inventory in that green, they tell you right on there that it's favorable for your storage limits. So that's what we try to do, right? That's why I go with the recommended. Hey, they're recommending it because that keeps you inside the green. If they're recommending me send 300, I'm going to send 300 because that's what's keeping me in the green. It's going to help my client. It's going to help me. If you've got stock that's too big, it's container size, you've got to find a warehouse that's willing to manage that for you. That's because you can do it from China if that's where it's coming from, but you're probably going to have to do it by air or air freight. And because actually, this is another tip, right? So you can actually work with your manufacturers to store the product for free and have them ship it when you can. Because we did that. We were a shipping company. We were a warehouse, but I didn't want to pay double shipping on my own stuff. So my manufacturer honestly would hold stuff for more than 10 months for me.
Wow. Yeah.
And I would just ship what I need, air freight, DHL, straight to Amazon, especially during the holidays. And if you use something like DHL or FedEx, sometimes you can get it there in 2 to 3 days.
Yeah, and it's funny. Like, one of the things that next year we're going to be doing with SoStocked is logistics. We have forecast modeling, which is, you can put your marketing into your forecasting and figure out not just based on past data, but, well, what if I did this and what if I did this? So that's forecast modeling. But the next year is going to be focused on logistics modeling, because no one is doing that right now. What are all of your storage fees? What are all of your warehousing fees? What are all your shipping costs? Because a lot of the time what you think logistically makes the most sense for your bottom line doesn't. Like, oh, if you think you're gonna, okay, I get 5% off on my invoice if I buy 10,000 units and I ship it all over, and you ship everything over and avoid air freight at all costs. But what you can do with the capital and turning your money faster, like there's different, sometimes your gut reaction of, profit margins is very different when it comes to actually, profit dollars in your pocket if you kind of restructure things. And I think that's something that's very much missing right now. So I would love to, we're really interested in kind of getting into that space.
I think that's great because the manufacturers try to talk you into ordering 1,000 units, 2,000 units, 5,000 units because of that discount. And that's really, the discount's really not as big when you start factoring all that stuff in.
Yeah.
Like we've launched, I don't know, maybe 30 products. And I was always okay not making any money early on testing a product because I like the low MOQ. Is this going to work? And the reason for that is I got burned on my own idea. Like I ordered a lot of something that I sat on for 4 years because it wasn't a good idea. So I'm okay. And I couldn't turn that money. It's sitting in stock. So I like the low quantity, figure it out. I'll pay less than shipping for sure. I can get it to Amazon. Once it starts selling, then I can figure out my logistics plan.
I mean, I have the same thing, sitting on, every month paying on something in storage that you bought 2 years ago. It's gruesome, and then if the business pivots, I talked to someone who was a competitor of ours, actually, and a competitor and friend, interestingly enough, and they bought 60,000 units of this product. It's like a year's worth of inventory at the time, because they got a great deal, and then everyone changed and upgraded their product, and they had 60,000 units of an inferior product and couldn't move it. Eventually, a friend of mine in liquidation came to me and asked me if I wanted the product because I sell that type of product, and I was like, no, I'm good. But there's a lot of, you get pressured into that. If you think you can move it over, if you get a discount on 3 months and they'll store it for free, that might be a way to go about it. But you're still tying up that inventory.
I'm always a big fan of pushing it back to the manufacturer as much as possible.
Yep.
Like we said, we had 4 brands, and every one of those brands we negotiated down to just paying deposit, and I'm going to ship over what I want, and I'll pay for what I want as I ship it over.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's the way to do it. If you can find a way to not pay storage on it, and you can find a way to not tie up your capital, then there's no reason not to do it. Those are the 2 main reasons: the fees that you're going to pay on storage, and the capital that you're going to tie up that could be used in other ways. And the most money, I say the most money that you lose is the money you never make, or whatever it is. And that's, if I can take the same dollar and I can turn it 4 times in 1 month versus, take that dollar and turn it once in 3 months, you're making a lot more money. You got to know where to put that money to be able to turn it.
Yep.
But you're going to make more money than shaving a little off your profit margins.
Yeah. And that's where there's a whole model with that. I mean, that's why supplement companies, they do so good, because they can turn their money around every 7 to 10 days, potentially. So you don't have to, don't have to order large quantities. Where we had a product that was kind of heavy, very expensive, took 5 months to make, and by the time you boated it, you're 7 months in.
Yeah, wow.
You run out of stock of that, you're out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's all about, being able to pivot with the market, and it's harder the longer your lead times are. Yeah. Okay, we have a couple other questions. Andrew says, hi, I'm new to Amazon. I was looking into a 3PL strategy, but found it difficult to find the exact location because I could not choose the Amazon warehouse I wanted to ship. Is there any way around this? Thanks.
So I don't know Andrew, if you're trying to look for a warehouse, or a fulfillment company, or a 3PL that's to a warehouse that you want to send to. Because the way that works is, wherever your stock's at, Amazon chooses the warehouse after that. So like for us, whatever stock we have here, 98% of the time it's going to go to Illinois, to the same one, and 5% of the time it goes to Tennessee. So it really, Amazon figures out from your location. So you could choose a warehouse, like we're in Missouri. Now the thing you got to figure out by Missouri is it's in the middle of the country and it's not on a coast. That means you're going to pay more shipping to get something to a remote location.
Yeah.
We're not even in a big city. We were remote. So it's going to cost you more. So the things you got to think of, but Amazon doesn't care. They're going to pick the closest distribution center or warehouse for them from that 3PL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they'll usually, you'll have 3 different warehouses usually, if you're not sending, truckloads, right? So if you're sending cartons, because if you are new to Amazon, you'll probably start out sending cartons. When you go to send cartons, you're going to be told 3 different locations, and so it's all fine and good to pick a warehouse that'll be close to one of those warehouses, but you're still going to have to send to 3 different places. They're generally trying to get you, they're going to disperse your inventory all over the country. So they're trying to cut that down and send it to, California, Texas, New Jersey is generally how it goes for, at least with my stuff that I send loose carton from California. It's California, Texas, and New Jersey.
So what's funny about that is it's not everybody, because out of all the clients that we have, we only have one that does that. And that's because they historically did that. And when they came to us, they kept that. And all the other clients we have sends to one. But I think it's because it goes to Juliet, which is a distribution center. So they're able to keep their costs down, for at least some of our clients are, for that reason. We have some large clients that we shipped in weekly.
And that's even loose cartons for that?
Yeah.
How do you get that?
I don't know if it's because of us being a 3PL or it's Juliet being a distribution center.
Yeah.
But we have some common friends that they all ship there.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Nice. All right. And then we have, any thoughts on blended rates for a business with a lot of bundles that need to be prepped?
Yeah. So prepping is a fun thing to think about too. We actually got in to try help. So a lot of people that were prepping items just as another way of revenue. And prepping items, if you can have your manufacturer prep the item, hands down, best way to do it.
Yep.
But if you can't, it's like for our fulfillment clients, the ones we service, we will prep their items for them, because to us, we want them to take care of our fulfillment clients. For our warehouse clients that only do warehouse, we don't do it for, because there's not a lot of margin in prepping. What we found with prepping items, even though per unit, it looks like, yeah, I'm getting charged a lot for this unit, it never made the company any money. It could only pay for the person doing it, which as a business doesn't make a lot of sense. So we do it for our fulfillment clients for that reason. But we also don't want to be outrageous and charge crazy amounts, right? One of the things we do is labeling. It's 20 cents a label. Well, I think Amazon charges 30 cents now. Costs go up. But yeah, there are companies that do it. I can send you, if prepping is something that somebody needs and they want to reach out to us, viable shipping, I can send you to somebody that we have locally that does that.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, cool. And to that point, if you have, because you said it would be great to have the manufacturer do all the prepping. If you have, a bunch of different people, suppliers in China, it might make sense to get them, to get one of them to do the bundling, or to find another place in China, because the fees are going to be a lot lower, and then send it in all bundled up.
Yeah, it all depends on like the amount of money you got too, right? How much money you're going to invest. If you're bundling 2 different products, then if you sell them individually and you sell them bundled, well, then all of a sudden now you've got a 3rd product that is already bundled. And if you sell out of the first individual product, are you going to open those bundles up and send them? Then you got a whole nother problem.
Right.
So A lot of our clients bundle, that we do the bundling for is here. There is a couple clients who've gotten really smart about this, and what we recommend is if you're doing bundling of your own products, then it's different if it's wholesale. If you're bundling your own products, bundle them on demand. Like we do FBM for that, so which is fulfilled by merchant.
Yeah.
So with the right software, which we use and other companies have it too, that they can bundle on demand. So if you had 10 products, you can create any combination of those and have an FBM listing for that, which is more images, more keywords, and you can create any multiple combinations, and your fulfillment company will just be able to fill them on demand instead of sending it to Amazon.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, fantastic. Does anybody else have any more questions? I'd say last bit of questions should be sent in at this point. And while any other questions come in, so you have fulfillment capabilities right now, or?
We are being pretty selective with the clients we take on for fulfillment. Warehousing, we got a waiting list.
Yeah.
Doing prep, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But warehousing's waiting list, and if you want fulfillment, right now you almost have to have a outside channel of Amazon for us to do it, just because we would have to bring on another employee to service you as a company. But if you're only doing Amazon, we got a waiting list for that too, just because we got clients that we got to take care of through the fourth quarter, and we don't want to drop the ball. It's not what we do. We don't drop the ball.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, when you open up, we might as well just, offer your website, how to find you. And then also, if you've stayed onto this call, I will be getting out a list of we've got a couple of recommendations. One, some of them I have lists for, but not all of them are vetted. But now you have some ideas of how to ask them about their rates and things like that. So, we'll get that out to you on the email when this replay goes out, and then go ahead and let us know. I can just put say it for the people who won't see the chat, but I'm going to put your website in the chat.
So you can reach out to us at Viable Shipping. That's viable with a V.com. And our email address is info@viableshipping. But there's a contact form on there, and you can just ask whatever question you want, or if you need recommendations. The recommendations we can get to when we get to. If you're looking for fulfillment, those are going to be prioritized too, right? So just because we don't have capacity now doesn't mean we won't always have capacity.
Yep.
So this will be a replay, and at some point we might have capacity, and at some point we might have a larger warehouse. So.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. This is a replay, so don't fret.
Right.
Yeah. And then last thing that we have a couple more questions. Actually, one question. Thanks for this great data. But the last question we have here, are you finding 3PLs more lenient in accepting products that FBA has deemed hazardous?
So yeah, this has been interesting lately as Amazon cracks down on what they deemed to be hazardous or not. So for us, we're going to ask, what is the product?
Yep.
And if it's hand sanitizer or essential oils, no big deal. I mean, they can be deemed hazardous by sending a USPS. If Amazon doesn't take them, like we have a few clients that we ship hand sanitizer for and the essential oils, but Amazon is cracking down on it, and you have to do a lot of, I don't know what the forms are. I don't know how you get to where you can ship it in, but you can possibly do that. I know anything with an alcohol content, like hand sanitizer, I haven't seen that go in yet. So we fulfill those via FBM.
Interesting. I had no idea that hand sanitizer was hazardous.
Yeah, it's got an alcohol content.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, fantastic. I don't see any more questions. The last thing that I wanted to do is to kind of throw up this link to, I'm actually offering, I do a webinar only offer of SoStocked. So anybody who has not, who is not a SoStocked user, who would like to get a better handle on their inventory, one of the things that we do is we set minimums and maximums. So you can then arrange for your transfers to be set with maximums. And, so you can pull the data of how many units you're allowed to send in. And we're also looking right now, I got, no promises, but I got a text from my team that we may be able to pull that data from the API. We're looking into it right now. But it helps to give you, the frequency, how often you need to send your inventory in. And, especially when it comes to now you've got inventory at FBA and then you've got inventory at your warehouse, keeping track of that is very important. And I guess one thing we didn't kind of touch on was actually keeping track of your own inventory and vetting your own inventory, because a warehouse can mess up and a warehouse can make mistakes as well. If you do you get asked for bin counts and things like that? Yeah.
It's interesting what can happen just because our stock is taken on paper and then transferred into the computer.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times the stock's not coming in with barcodes and we have to label it. So it's done like that. And, sometimes it's counted wrong by the person counted it that went in.
Yeah.
Or you have one or two left over and they're missing one. So we try to count them as they get low, but knowing what you send in and knowing what arrived is a big deal.
Yeah.
Putting it on the carton that's arriving to your warehouse is a bigger deal. Having on there what's actually in there is a big deal. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to give you a plug on your software because I'm actually a computer programmer and software developer myself. And I have software that we use internally that we use these calculations for. But after seeing yours, right, spending the time to make your own, not worth it. Spending the time and running out of stock, not worth it. I mean, just pay the money to get software that does it for you, so you don't have to think about it. Your accountant will be happy with you too, because
yeah. I mean, to the point of of the counts being wrong, I had probably about 800 units go missing on my warehouse's report, and I knew that I had those 800 units because I had kept track of it, in SoStocked. And so finally, it was like months they were missing, and finally all of a sudden they showed up on the report again. I was like, hey, you guys, I'm missing this inventory. It's got to be there somewhere. So that's important to keep track, to be I guess a second pair of eyes and an auditor of the inventory that is kind of sitting in the warehouse, because things can go wrong, especially right now with all the chaos that's been going on in the warehouses. With all of the removal orders. So there's just a bunch of chaos. So you never really know what's happening in the warehouse. So you want to make sure that you at least know what's happening with your inventory.
I'll tell you what's happening in the warehouse. There's times where, like I said, some of our clients Amazon's pushing the stock back to us. We're not requesting it. The client's not requesting it. And the warehouse all of a sudden has 4 UPS trucks in their back lot. Yeah. Saying, hey, this is all for you. And you're just like, then you got to figure it out, right? So things can get a little hectic, especially if it's 5 minutes till you close and no one's going to be here and you got 4 UPS trucks.
Wow. Yeah.
So know what you got coming and where it's going and track it some way.
Yeah. Very, very good. Yeah. So I dropped a link in there. So it's a webinar offer. We don't do free trials right now because we just can't. We actually onboard everyone. I talk to everyone personally about, how they should use the software, how they should set up their inventory, the techniques that they should be using. And we also do free migration, meaning that if all of your data is in spreadsheets or in some other system, we can help to move it into the SoStock system, especially if you have, hundreds of SKUs like we have some people have. And so we don't do these free offers. And this link that I shared in the chat is a free offer, a 30-day free trial. So you can quit at any time, but it would basically be a free offer, and it locks in the lifetime price of $59 a month. And that lifetime price is important because even as your business grows, your price will never go up with the increase in sales or orders, and then more features to come out, we won't increase your price for that either. So Awesome. Okay, fantastic. Doesn't look like we have any other questions. Thank you guys so much for being here. Randy, thanks so much for giving us some of this insight into the crazy world of warehousing, and really appreciate that.
Sure thing. It's good talking to you guys.
Great. Thanks, guys. We'll catch you later, and look for the email. I'll have some recommendations on some other warehousing. Right. Bye.